Good morning, everybody. Right. I guess this morning shouldn't be such a surprise, but after Friday's sell-off. It kind of just continues the mess that the markets have been in for a while. And see all of these overlapping bars. It's everything that we give names to, we have to define, right? So define a mess, wide range bars, tails, overlapping bars, pivot highs and lows far apart, gaps. And because, it's Monday, a weekend, we have this now unfilled gap in the S&P futures. And we'll see um, if they get filled. I think it's unlikely today. It's pretty much a news-driven market, other than, you know, back when things got extended, we got the internals that gave us risk-off signal. And I'll look at the internals quickly here for everybody. There's gas in the tank. And so today's move lower will move these internals toward a neutral level, not even a bullish level. No, unless you're a day trader, you do not buy the dip, right? This is not a situation to buy the dip for swing trades. Now, as we look at individual stocks, any of that, everything applies to whatever you're looking at, right? So right now we're talking about the markets, right? For day trades, that's certain different situation. But right now, they're doing absolutely nothing. Meaning, here's the whipsaws going back and forth. There was a move off of the low this morning as it came down to this pivot. No matter what you're trading, it always comes down to look to the left, support and resistance. So as prices came down, you can see my horizontal line on the 5-minute chart and the 15-minute chart. You started to get a bottoming pattern down there. A little clearer on the 15. And you can see it wiggling around, and then it starts trading higher. And now you've got on a 5-minute chart, well, you can see it on the 15. It's kind of a head and shoulders top, opposing pivot highs and pivot lows. Is just whipping back and forth here. Um, so, down below here, likely lower. Um, on the short side, today's unusual, of course, as to the news and what happened. But, we look at what historically is the unusual and what historically is a normal, right? So a size gap like this, I think most days where you get a sizable gap, shorts have a tendency not to work out so well. And you tend to get whipsawed when you get a big gap, especially when it gaps down near some support area. So we'll see, of course, as we always do, how things progress. We look at what is, which is the current charts, right? The time frames that we're going to look at. It already tested this pivot low. So now the overnight low comes into play. And this little head and shoulders top situation here. Let me get a drawing thing out here. Um, you know, remember this. I've talked about this in prior pre-markets, and as well as I think in this chart of the week that I did over the weekend. You can go and look at it. But one of the things is to recognize what is, of course, and we got this head and shoulders top that formed in the futures in the S&Ps. And it broke these lows more clearly on the S&P 500. And when it fails, it tends to fail violently. And that's what propelled us as this distribution pattern evolved and went down. And with the futures, it came down to the prior low. And then there was news that came out. And that distribution, or let's just relate it to selling short and selling or out of longs, and it reverses, it tends to reverse violently. So I'm pointing that out because, look, things are down a whole bunch, gapping down. The news is out. You've got economic news, ISM manufacturing coming out at 10 o'clock. And this little head and shoulders pattern could fail, right? This is the same on a smaller time frame distribution pattern. Support isn't that far away. But if this fails, it could rip higher, just like this ripped higher into this void above. So keep things in perspective as to higher time frames, lower time frames, patterns, voids, so on and so forth. And so right now, as we get closer to the open, you've just got these opposing pivot highs and pivot lows far apart. And it's a picture of indecision. But of course, some selling that has begun here. And I'll just point out again the size of the gap down near support. NASDAQ, just another mess of overlapping bars and tails. Similarly, it bounced up here. It didn't get down to the pivot low, so we can, deduce from that, just showed a little bit of relative strength, which is, that's a good thing, right? As you're looking for silver linings, right? Well, here's one. So far, this has made a higher low. It didn't come all the way down to this pivot low here, but it's in limbo. It's in the middle of nowhere. You've got these pivot highs up here, these pivot lows down here. So you've just got a wider range and picture of uncertainty. And so, no, this is not a buy the dip. It's not a swing trade. It's stay the hell away from things like this or credit spreads. Credit spreads, which in a situation like this, like a general statement, when you've got pivot highs and pivot lows very far away from each other, support and resistance, that's going to be a pattern that is going to have a higher probability for doing credit spreads. It's really common sense, but the indicator-based methodology just blows common sense out the window. Dow showing relative strength. It was the weaker to the left. Big rally. Now it's coming down. So far, it's holding these moving averages. These are the futures, of course. We'll have to see where the actual cash market ends up, support, resistance, how it holds up or not. Russell futures, some relative strength. It's another small, encouraging sign. Nice, strong move up over the pivots. It was consolidating. We were hopeful that it could clear these highs and move into this void. Tariff news, we all know what the story is. That blows it out of the water. So more uncertainty, and we just wait to see how this unfolds. Pivot highs and pivot lows now far apart. Stand aside from this time frame and let's wait to see how things tighten up. Gold, new all-time highs. Tariffs, inflation thoughts. We'll see where it all goes. You can see interest rates here are kind of down, so that's somewhat of a good thing. They're not pushing up yet, but they're threatening to go up. They were up. I'll get to that. Crude oil turning up. We talked about, hey, the president's talk about opening up the spigots versus what does traders, institutions think? Reality coming down to support, deep retracement. Buyers are here. Let's see what they're going to do. Right? Oil is up. Silver not doing too much here, but it looks like keep an eye on it. See if it tightens up here near this resistance, that it could go higher. Okay. Currencies are getting killed. You see the euro, which means that, of course, the dollar's going up, but so far this is holding support. Canada is getting decimated, as you would think it would. That gap down, and it's, had its little bounce. Australia, getting killed. The pound holding up better. So, look, they're selling across the board wherever we look. Took a look earlier. Semiconductors, they're down here. Where is it? But so far holding that low. So this is just another giant mess. But I'm interested in this because, it gapped down. So far it's holding. I mean, semiconductor stocks A lot of them have gotten really beaten up. Uh, so this could be a silver lining if they tend to show some relative strength. If they don't and they go sideways and start breaking lower, well, probably everything's going to be going lower. And so we look for, different pieces of information to guide us as to, what's going on and turning points. I'll just refer to the internals again, which is gas in the tank. Transports, you know, this was this breakout bar failure. Setting up, I mentioned last week, and obviously it triggered. And so that's another negative in the markets. And that was kind of a heads up that, you know what? It just tends not to be a good piece of information when other things look like they could possibly move higher. Okay. Uh, Qs, and you see where they're at here, gapping down and coming down to support. So we'll see, if this holds here, what it does, in the first, 15, 20 minutes or so. Just coming down to that pivot low, that gap got filled. So technically prices came up to an area where sellers would be. The news came out. It produced this nasty reversal bar. And of course, down it went. Your Dow looked like knocking on the door to new all-time highs up here. And, the gap up and really powerful reversal there. Um, so we'll see if this holds this area or not. So spiders, SPY. And so our spiders are looking at the cursor below the 50, below the 20, below that pivot low, and coming down to the next support. So this is a substantial gap. You see on the 65-minute chart, it's right in that green box, which is that little congestion area. And the size of the gap, initially, my thoughts are it probably won't go a lot lower. But let's see what this number says at, 10 o'clock. And there's an unfilled gap down here. So I find it, well, everything can be hard to believe in the moment. Once you see it, it's like, oh, there's the reality, but I find it hard to believe it could go down there and fill this gap today. Of the four horsemen, which one has relative strength? Well, the Qs and the Russell, right? Which we already looked at those charts. Yeah. So, you look at where one thing is, right? By relative strength, you're defining one thing against another. So when you look at, say, spiders and you see that they're below some support area, and you look at something else and it's above that support area in time, that area, wherever it formed that support and it's above it, that showed relative strength. You don't need any, special tools. It's an observation. It's easy to see. All right. SPX. Numbers weren't touched last week, which were 61.40. And it was up above here. And 60.10. Neither were touched. And neither, I don't think they're going to get touched today either. So this is where they were minutes ago, and I probably haven't changed, but you can take a look. And I often say these things as if it's the end of the day, and it's impossible, but I believe it's impossible that this strike will be touched today or even some a bit higher, because remember, prices are here right now in the support area, give or take. They have to go through here, fill the gap, and then continue lower. It's not going to happen. Right? So take my enthusiasm with a grain of salt, because anything can happen, but this ain't going to happen. To come all the way down there, there's too many lines of defense for intraday traders or institutions or whoever you want to call them to step up and begin to think to accumulate some shares. So as it comes down here and fills this void, it's down here, it's coming into this void, but I think it's unlikely. It goes down there today and it makes an attempt to try and regain 6,000, which is where I mentioned a week or two ago, all this open interest is going out to the quarterly expiration and puts and calls. So this should, and you got these moving averages here, beware the markets or the S&P begins to, bang its head against the wall if it can retrace off of this low. So here it is. We'll see how it unfolds here. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Well, so Greg, you didn't tell them about Wednesday. You've been talking about all these gaps today. It's going to be MT
thank,
live on Wednesdays. Gap trading.
thank you, Dan. But I'll post the chart of the week, which has a link to there as well. Give me a sec, but go ahead.
And secondly, we obviously have some long exposure here, but Friday was risk off. We were selling some things in the strength. We were trail stopping, looking for shorts. We said, look, Trump's telling you right to your face, our faces, what he's going to do. He did it. Market's reacting. So the chart supported it. So we bought put options on this. So that's, we bought the 445 at the money puts. So that's going to be $6 in the money right now. Doesn't mean we're going to be up $6 because they were at the money puts, but we're going to have a nice gain on that. So I said move stop 30-minute high. Thomas here. Yeah, I know it. It all looks like Thomas. I mentioned that in the green room on Friday. Whenever I have MT live on my head for coming up in a day or two, I point to that subject. So look, here's an igniting gap here, way down here with the MAs. Here's a bullish gap to resistance. Here's an igniting gap, bullish gap. That just turned out to be a breakout failure. Igniting gap down on earnings. And now we have what we call a continuation gap. So igniting, sideways, continuation. So it looks like it's headed to the gap fill. So yeah, that looks lower. Crocs short. The problem, whenever we have an excessive gap, the problem is going to be excessive gap in the market is going to be okay. Where do you want to get on board? And are we expecting the market to bounce a little bit to get a better price? And that's kind of where I am today. I texted Greg pre-market. I'm like, things are down a lot, but they on the daily chart, they all look lower to me. So that's why I said 30-minute high on our diamonds, not 5-minute high. I think things are going lower. So yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a good pattern, kind of igniting gap breakdown. PRCT roll. I don't see any prints. He's saying short below Friday, below Friday's low. No, whenever something's so close, no, I would wait for Thursday's low. I can't tell where it's opening here, but the Dow 30, there's only one green trade. Amgen up 68 cents, so nothing. All the FANGs 15-minute charts look very, very similar in terms of today's gap down, the bottoming tail going sideways. Tesla kind of looks the worst in terms of this pre-market consolidation. Things are going to move differently with these tariff things, currencies, who's going to get hit, commodities, put on tariffs on cars, and guess what? They're going to become more expensive. uh, supply chain problems. I did notice here, look at these steel companies are all up. NUE, remember we were trading that for the last couple of days on this igniting turn from a bottoming pattern on earnings. We've been shorting puts on that. It's sloppy, but it's positive. Stalled. Gap up coming in. X is the worst pattern of those three, and the relative weakness have turned red. Let me go to earnings here. There's not many of them. A twist. That's actually bullish, daily, weekly, monthly, but it's a bio. But all time frames are in alignment. This is a buy setup, a sloppy one. I'm not going to mess with it because it's a bio. Tyson on 59. It's gapping right to these converging MAs, but you could watch if you get a controlled pullback. I'll put it on this bottom right, and we'll be going over all this on Wednesday. It's a small gap up, no pattern. NSS getting whacked down to $30. So that's gapping down 20%. So I would say something gapping up or down 20% is an absolute stay away at the market open. I mean, it's excessive. Doesn't mean it can't go lower, but on big gaps, it's much better waiting to see how they perform in the afternoon, unless of course you're fading it. And then we do excessive gaps all the time with credit spreads. IDXX, that's a pro gap. That's a pro gap. You got a downtrend, you got a stabilization, creating a potential bottoming pattern. And now that it's gapping to 460, igniting gap. But again, it's too big. Let's look again. It started here at 437 with top of the range. Then I would have said buy 30-minute high. But let's keep an eye on that too. All right, that's it on earnings. I just saw this thing going by the ticker. Look at that volume on Friday. Reborn Coffee. Does that mean Reborn? They put some hallucinogens in it or something? Never heard of that company, but it's been on fire recently. Kilo Charlie. Alex, is this the San Francisco Chiefs? KC, Kansas City? Bullish as can be, but gap's too big. Anything that's green today on a day like this is relative strength, anything. And so I'm looking at my 15-minute sectors on my big computer, and the only thing I see gapping up, and that's above the 20 MA on the 15-minute chart, is USO. So that's a sloppy buy setup. That could be 30-minute high. And also gold. GLD. Look at the 15-minute chart. We do have a couple gold stocks open. So the rule today, anything gapping under your stop, 30-minute low, unless it's an igniting gap, you'd rather be shorted. And we can look at those one by one. So I am not going to be focused on, usually Monday mornings I'm busy as can be. And today it's like the game plan is out the window. So I'm not going to be as busy this morning because I'm not going to be doing much. I'm going to be monitoring. But we'll look at opens, of course. We'll, say relative strength, weakness on things on our watch list. I'm noticing here Apple and Tesla grinding to new lows here at pre-market. That was earnings on Thursday night, so that was a nasty range expansion reversal. Look, now it's down here, 229, down another $7. But of course Apple's going to be in the crosshairs of tariff wars. Are you kidding me? What percent of their sales are in China? Big number, obviously. But we did a great job risk off Friday afternoon. So with those steel stocks gapping up, XME doing nothing. What about SLX is steel? Well, okay, that's weird. That new installed are up nicely, and the sector is down. Okay, so forget about that idea about buying SLX. General Motors, that's big ugly gap. You can check the cousins. Ford, Sitla. Sitla's getting whacked. Tesla, obviously, is a car company. I know there's a number of these little EV companies reporting earnings. I just had an alarm on ELV go off. There you go. Alex and I were watching this breakout from a bottoming pattern buy setup. All right, I'm going to put that in a window. So that looks good. Here, I'll get rid of IDXX ELV. Looks now this would be a 30-minute high. It's up, gapping up almost $5. Buy setup, it's here at resistance, 30-minute high, should be good to go. CMCL. I just saw a print here at 979. Let me check the level one. We're in this thing. CMCL. This is another gold stock. Yeah, it has 2,200 volume. I'm going to be a guinea pig here. I'll send a pre-market order out at 990. Let's see what happens. It's light volume. All right, so now I'm on the offer. All right, so I'm not going to have a big game plan here. So here's semis 236, but based on that pre-market, it looks lower. My TMF alarm went off. So this is one of these levered 20-year bonds. And so whenever you see the market down, there's been a relationship of yields and equities, right? But then when you get a nasty gap down and you say, well, then why are yields going down too? I think the answer is it's a safety trade. So it's a, risk off in equity markets. That relationship's kind of been going on for a long time. Is, hey, buy treasury bonds for security. So this TMF could be a 30-minute high trade. I'll actually put that in a window. TMF. All right, so like I said, let's see, rig T alarm. We have a put spread on this. Let's move stop. That's arbitrary, but 15-minute low. let it breathe here a little bit. It doesn't make sense to, freak out the first 5 minutes with the rest of the retail world. Wow, AD line -2,000, tick -1,200. So that's like an igniting bearish internals day. Diamond's relative strength though here on the 15-minute chart of the four horsemen. Daily's a mess. Daily's horrible. So Greg, I said move stop 30-minute high. So if you want to take money sooner, feel free to tell me.
Option trade expiring this week is what you posted it as. I know you changed later, but
Or it doesn't matter.
I would just take the money.
I was gonna say just make the decision on the chart.
I mean, you're the option expert. So in my mind, it's like there's the volatility there, the premiums get jacked, and things go sideways, and you lose that premium. But
No, that's zero DTE. No, and the VIX, it's not like I don't see the VIX tanking 10%, unless you think this is buy to dip day.
no, that's a different thing than an option
it,
trade.
I know, so that's what I'm saying. It's a function of how much room to give it. If we had
I
two
don't know.
if,
It's like it's a speculative thing. It worked out very nicely. I don't know if it's going to go lower. It's going to hang here, go sideways.
right. I mean, I don't like the bounce right here. Um, if we had two contracts, without a doubt, I would have said, 1 minute high, cover, sell half. All right, 445. Let's see where we're at. All right, it's 620. Um, all right, we'll just sell it. GDX up alarm. So like I said, golden oil, but I see oil looks the best. XOP, XLE, OIH all look horrible in the 15-minute charts. Well, that's a little different. All right, Alex. ELV, that's one of the best looking longs that I have seen so far. Meta ripped out of its pre-market base, as did Microsoft. Yeah, I'm short the 110 puts on this DPST, and that looks horrible now. Horrible. That's levered banks, regionals. It's really bad. Really bad. I could things keep falling apart. I could go to 200. Three, yeah. I mean, all right, Tyson, forget about him. Gave up the gap. We're in this Hotel Lima, just a third lot. All right, let me look at earnings now because I'm not interested in new trades other than maybe that ELV, but that would be 30-minute high. Crowd, we have the 375. So if it holds today's low, we're still okay. RIG-T, I moved it. 15-minute low, DPST looks bad. And GoDaddy, let's move stop days low now. 205.44. We have four bullish credit spreads. I know it looks horrible. I'm not sugarcoating it. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking DPST. Hold on. Go down to 538. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be island reversals all over. RS, yeah, well, yeah, it has to do. Q's new high, but no pattern other than day trading. But let's look at the 509 puts or lower. Um, 509's 55 cents naked, if you're so inclined. It's only 9:40, only 10 minutes of data, but looking at that pre-market chart, that's a nice bottoming pattern, nice range expansion right now. It's already dropped 5 cents. Let's see if we're right at break even. Greg, you want to kill this break even right here with the gap down? Nah, my bad, my bad. I'm in it myself. I did not, it's not official. So I just killed mine break even. No, so never mind. False alarm. That's Burl stopped out on Friday at a loss, but good thing, or else the loss would be bigger. Oh, shoot, I'm in this card G put spread. Didn't get filled the other day. But it shows I'm only down 17 bucks. Um, I will I will take that loss and get the heck out of Dodge. Yes, sirree. And he didn't fill me. Give him another nickel. Still didn't fill me. Jerk. Timas. It, John, not me. Not me. I mean, we're playing in an alligator pit today. Not me. I like to see if you want a long. I like the CLV the best. So it's so far. Bottoming pattern. They're totally different patterns, but this is the best thing I've seen for a new long so far. XLO, it came down in a sloppy manner, so that's not a. Now the weekly is a fluid buy setup, but the daily microscope, that's not a quality buy setup, but it would be a put spread idea. This into it's no stop low. 68.18. No, it actually didn't hit the stop. I mean, we gave it a big old stop before, so it's not like it gapped under it. But let's move it anyway. So obviously went against us. Well, actually, no, I don't like the rally to resistance, but Amazon is relative strength right now. That is a bull rectangle in the making. Tiger, stop low, 671. Header, low, 9, I think that's where it is. Eye clear. Finally got our breakdown. This is our only other short. 204.42. Hey, Queen. Yeah, the weather has been van friggin' tastic in South Florida, and it will be all week long. Opens here. Google. Our stop is 357. Hotel Lima with our little gold stock. Well, I got my new boat, Debbie. It's a year old now, but yeah, I still have, you know, like 25 Sea Fox. All right, Rocket Man, we had long calls. Let's move the stop under this pre-market here, 1208. No, actually it's 11.99. I'll just leave it there. Another dime. Yeah, no, I said the daily. Oh no, my bad. I was thinking of Amazon. But yeah, the fact that that turned green. Yep, agree. TMT, thanks. All right, that's rebounding a little. All right, so that's one rebounding a little. Yeah, 50. VGC. another little gold stock of ours that we're in at 66. So this one we're up a penny. Now our routine new low. So stop under 12 routine. Yeah, it's filling up, oil filling the gap. Remember, I said it was very strange how that was up and the other three oil ETFs were tanking. Buys new low. Greg, had we given diamonds 5-minute high, it would have held crazy.
Yeah. If is the hardest thing to trade.
Well, I swear to you, I already had typed out. If you have multiple contracts, sell half, 30-minute high half, but we only have one contract. Like remember last week on some gap down, I was like very well, I was much more bullish on that gap down than I am on this one because dailies look horrible. Tesla new low. Tesla looks bad. Couple of, I mean, hey, remember I said, um, I've been saying this looks like a big topping pattern. And then when it gapped up on earnings on Thursday, and then my alarm went off, I'm like, let's see how this closes. Well, now it looks like my scenario, the topping pattern is playing out. Yeah, that happens. Wow, that's relative strength. CME gap breakout. These pending trades and let's see which ones are still a go. But yeah, CME. That's a nice gap breakout there. All right, D Delta is still good overall. Last week's high. Migne will cancel.